Good morning, world. I'm Emma Tortora.
And I'm Matthew Peak. The Tsar bomb was exploded in Russia today, having a power of over 50 megatons of TNT. It was the largest explosion in human history. Weighing over 27 metric tons, it detonated at 11:32 Moscow time. The bomb had an 800-kilogram parachute, and the Tu-95V plane that dropped it was able to get 45 kilometers away before the bomb exploded. The plane dropped 1 kilometer in altitude due to the shock wave from the bomb. Before taking off, the plane was coated in a special white reflective paint to limit heat damage. The bomb fell for 6,500 meters and was more than 3,000 times powerful than the Hiroshima bomb. An estimated 50,000 people across the earth.
Early this morning on July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong said the famous words, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." Neil Armstrong became the first man to walk on the moon. The three-man team, consisting of Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins, finished a 76-hour trip and reached the destination, the moon. In amazement, millions of people across the world watched as Armstrong and Aldrin bounced off the surface of the moon, becoming the first humans ever.
The Vietnam War recorded with over 5,220 United States military soldiers killed. The war was fought between North and South Vietnam, with American involvement lasting from 1965 to 1969. In that time, America was involved in 68 battles against the North Vietnamese. The commanding generals were William Westmoreland, Crichton and Crichton Abrams, both of them now dead. The Secretary of Defense was Robert McNamara, died in 2009. During America's involvement in Vietnam, the United States never declared war against Vietnam. When the Vietnam vets came home, most of them were not greeted warmly, but instead by protesters who taunted them.
The Zodiac Killer strikes again. His first victim, Sherry Jo Bates, was a college student. Bates was killed outside her college library. A month later, the Zodiac Killer sent a letter to the newspaper saying Bates had to die, there will be more. On December 20th, 1968, the Zodiac Killer struck again. The Zodiac Killer killed teens David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen in Valley Hill, California. On July 4th, 1969, the Zodiac Killer attacked Mike Mathew and Darlene Ferrin in Valley Hill, California. Luckily, Mathew survived. After the attack, the Zodiac Killer sent a letter to the newspaper saying that he killed because it was so much fun. The identity of the Zodiac Killer remains a mystery today.
4 Kokobunji Bank employees of the Nihon Shintaki Ginko Bank were transporting approximately 3 million yen. They were stopped on the street by a police officer who said that explosives had been planted on the bottom of the car. The officer told the employees to get out of the car because the bank manager's house had been blown up and dynamite was suspected to be planted on the bottom of the car. A few minutes later, smoke started coming out from under the car as the officer started yelling that it was going to explode. The bank employees ran back to avoid the explosion as the officer got on the car and drove away. The largest investigation in Japanese history was conducted and found out that the explosives were actually road flares. 120 pieces of evidence were left at the crime scene, much of it faked to throw the police off trail. There were over 110,000 suspect names.
Now for sports. On January 15, 1967, Green Bay Packers and Kansas City Chiefs played against each other in the first Super Bowl. 62,000 fans attended this historical event. With an outstanding final score of 35-10, Green Bay Packers took home the trophy.
Muhammad Ali, a famous boxer, had a long and successful career. In 1960, he traveled to the Olympics in Rome, where he won a gold medal. In 1964, Ali took on and defeated Stoney Liston and became the heavyweight champion of the world. After this, Ali joined the Nation of Islam, a black Muslim group. In 1966, Ali refused to join the draft when asked. Because of this, the Department of Justice brought a legal case against Ali, but it was eventually dropped. After this, the Boxing Association took away Ali's title and suspended him from boxing for 3.5 years. And now to a short commercial break.
Hawaiian Punch comes in big cans, little cans, and frozen cans. In big grocery stores, little grocery stores, and frozen grocery stores. That's fairly funny.
Hey, how about a nice Hawaiian punch?
Sure.
Fruit juicy Hawaiian punch. Fruit juicy Hawaiian. Wasn't that a refreshing commercial?
Welcome back. In Newport, Arkansas in 1962, Samuel Moore Walton, the richest man alive, has opened a new store called Walmart. He has 3 profitable stores open in Arkansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma. The auto cassette was a kind of cassette which could record and play back sounds. They stored their sounds on a magnetic tape that is wound into 2 reels in the cassette. The auto cassette was invented in 1962.
Star Trek, July 1967. A pilot episode was filmed and approved by NBC. September 8th, 1966. Star Trek airs featuring William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy. 3 seasons were filmed, and the last episode in the original series aired June 3rd,
And now to an in-depth look at the civil rights. The civil rights movement began with the actions of Rosa Parks on August 28, 1963. Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a bus for a white man. She was arrested for her actions. This caused outcry and led to massive protests and boycotts all around the nation.
In 1965, Selma March was held from Selma to Alabama's capital. The African American people were stopped by police using tear gas and clubs. They turned back and went back to Selma. They tried again on March 9th, but still were unsuccessful. That same night, Selma residents killed a white minister. This sparked national outcry. Soon after, the police allowed the march to happen, and Congress passed the Voting Rights Act, which outlawed.
By the late 1960s, civil protesting was being used to not only protest for the civil rights movement, but against many other things, from nuclear power to Vietnam. Because the civil rights movement, civil protests had become so popular across America that people would protest anything that...
Yeah, so the Bay of Pigs was about the CIA trained Cuban exiles to take out Fidel Castro and the Cuban government, and I believe that the CIA should not have done this. Just because Cuba has a different government does not mean that the U.S. has to get involved and take them out. The CIA has much better things to do than worry about a small island country and how they run their government.
I believe that the CIA was within their rights to send troops to Cuba to train rebels to take down Fidel Castro, even if it failed. Because if they hadn't have done that, Cuba would have gotten big and they would have attacked us and killed us. Cut! Are we done?
Now that's our show. You stay classy, Miss Fisher.